Good evening and welcome to Budget Model Railways and another Train Shed Tuesday. I wasn't actually going to make one today, to be honest. I've got quite a good little video at the moment about not thinking too big on model railways. It's going quite well, so have a look at that. But I've got a few things to talk about. A few railway related things have happened. Got a bit of progress done on this layout and a few thoughts on books and things. So I thought, why not? I know a few people enjoy my model railway rambling. So I figured I might as well knock one out. It's a bit late, end of the day. Hopefully a few people can sit with a mug of cocoa or Ovaltine, for anybody who remembers that. I remember having Ovaltine when I was a kid. Personally, I've got a few cheese and biscuits actually, and a cup of tea in my train mug, which my good lady wife got me. So there we go. I'm down here enjoying model railways. A few cheese and biscuits and a cup of tea. Sadly, my days of ending the day with a nice glass of whiskey, which I used to very much enjoy most nights, I can no longer do. I have Barrett's esophagus, and that has some IBS, IBD type symptoms, and one of the things I'm really allergic to is alcohol. So sadly, the alcohol's gone. I thought I was just getting old. I just thought the hangovers were getting rougher and rougher. And when I was still poorly, sort of 3 days after having had a few drinks, I figured I was just getting old. But it turns out my body doesn't like alcohol. So I can drink alcohol-free beer, but I haven't seen any alcohol-free whiskey yet. I did try a drop a couple of years ago, just in case. Yeah. I got ill quite quickly. So there you go. It's tea. And because the Barrett's means I can't drink milk or black tea, I have to drink things like chamomile tea. That's quite a sad little world, really. Could be a lot worse. I know there's people out there with a lot worse going on, so I'm not complaining. A little shout out actually to Mike today, who came down and bought my oval N-gauge layout off me. He came away from Southampton. And for instance, his good lady wife, a couple of days into their holiday in Spain, slipped and broke her hip on the swimming pool. So she spent her entire holiday in hospital. So a big shout out to Mike and his good lady wife. But I am very pleased that that layout's going to a good home. I'm sure he'll enjoy that. So there's a few things here. This is just picked this up for £24, including postage. That's one of the things that used to annoy me with eBay. People telling you that they bought something for 10 quid, ignoring that it would cost them £8 in postage, which means it really cost them 18. But that was only 24. It's going to be repainted in my Ringwood and Albion Railroad colours. I'll show you those in a minute. It's a little GP40. It runs quite nicely. This one, this is a bit of a mystery. So this arrived today. It's a real bargain. It's quite a nice runner. It's a Bachmann, allegedly a U36B. And all it needs is a coupling added. And I paid £15 for that, including postage. It's another reason why I'm doing N-gauge US. These are the slightly older models. They're the ones with the Arnold couplings and things. But that's good prices for them. However, allegedly it's a U36B. Somebody can tell me that, one of my American viewers, if that's right. The interesting thing is, according to Wikipedia, Santa Fe never used U36Bs. So either it's not a U36B. Sorry for the shaky camera. I wanted to show lots of things and it's difficult to do on a tripod. There we go. I put it back on the big tripod. This big tripod's got a bit of a story actually. It was my late father's, so it's 25 years old now. And he bought it when he got into ornithology. So that he could both photograph and use binoculars and things. And I acquired it and it's got a bit broken. I foolishly threw away a bit that I thought was broken. That's kind of crucial. But it's carried on doing me a good turn for my my train videos. Unfortunately, my father passed away before I got into railways. But as he spent quite a few years in the early 60s doing railways before he changed hobbies, he would have been quite pleased, I think. And it's good to see that some of his stuff still, as you know, some of you know, I use various bits of his buildings that for some reason over 40 years still hung around my brother's and mine's kind of hobby world, although we weren't doing railways, and they've ended up on layouts, which is quite nice. I'm eating. That's a bad thing to do actually when you're trying to make a video. Anyway, I digressed, which is what I'm prone to do. And we were talking about this loco, weren't we? So either it's not a U36B, or Bachmann did what I understand quite a few companies did, which is paint any colour, any loco in any livery, and that added to your range, even if in reality Santa Fe didn't run them, or Wikipedia's wrong and Santa Fe did run them. Let me know. Let me know. So there's a few changes on the layout. Main one being the hill that I've added there, and that's a really simple thing. Corrugated cardboard. It's actually on a ply base because I made it separately so I didn't get it all over the layout. So it's a ply base, layers of corrugated cardboard, 3 or 4 layers of newspaper. That's all you need. It doesn't need to be rock hard. I'm going to go into a rant in a minute when I've got my tripod set up. So one of my big pet hates is people. There's a layout at the Sompting Club I noticed the other day. It's got the tiniest amount of hill, but it's been made with chicken wire and plaster bandage. It really isn't needed. Yeah, so what? Look, it moves. And this isn't a problem. Why? I'm not going to put anything on it. I'm not going to stand on it. It's not going to have anything on it. So you really don't need to over-engineer hills. And then this is just ready mix filler. Moved about till you get a bit of a finish. Let's see if we can get a better shot of that. Oh, sorry, really shaky camera work today. There we go. And you can see that comes up quite nicely. Now all that is grey paint, emulsion, then black washed, artist acrylic, and dry brushed with a light grey. And that brings the rock out really nicely. And then I've just put scatter on the top, and I did my usual technique. Green paint, PVA, bung it all on. Before it's dried, spray it with water, PVA and water mix, put another layer on top. Goes absolutely rock hard. More importantly, this stuff doesn't flake off loose, and it looks just fine. And it got me to thinking, when Mike was here today, he come down and had a look. And one of the things, like a lot of people are saying to me, is these really impeccable layouts that you see aren't really inspiring. They put people off because they're intimidating. People think, oh, I couldn't build that good. And I really must get around to doing a video that says, yes, actually, you could. Because I'm not saying this is a good looking layout, but it's not a bad looking layout. But it's ridiculously simple to do this. Even ballasting track, which I've decided I hate because it's still causing problems, is easy to do. There's loads of videos out there. Main thing to avoid is don't put it on too heavily, so you can still see your sleepers. Don't put too much PVA and glue on like some people do, but it's easy to do. PVA and water rather. And I will get round to doing videos called something like, yeah, it's really simple to build a nice model railway, because it is. Don't be put off by these impeccable layouts and these articles that seem to suggest that it's all really difficult, because actually it isn't. And I said I would talk about the Ringwood and Albion Railroad. And those are my 3 locos so far. I have a GP18, an RS3 and an SD45. Bit overkill for a short line, but again it was 20 odd quid. They need some more work. That one's waiting to be finished repainting, handrails and so on. And I'll have 4 locomotives for my short line. I'm still getting quite fired up about doing the big layout, and once I finish my US one, then we will get on with that. I think I may have mentioned this before, but this book, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. I know that's Prestatyn, but it's probably pronounced differently in Welsh. Having gone to the, it's gone right out of my head now, the railway up in North Wales last year and got the name completely wrong. But the reason this book is important is I got it some years ago. I paid a whole £2 for it, look. And it completely changed my attitude to model railways, particularly double O initially and then N. The reason being is that railway ran something like 15 miles without a passing loop. All the way through steam days, they used steam rail buses, and then they used auto sets, and it propelled everything one way. All the sidings were done to go that way, and it pulled them back the other downhill. And there was a quarry and coal, and at the end there was a wonderful station which had a cattle dock and a goods shed on the same line, and somebody took me to task and said, oh no, one purpose per siding. Yeah, this is when these experts, these rivet counters, know very little. That railway had 2 purposes on the siding. At one point it had 3. It also had a wonderful co-op agricultural store at the end of it, little station building. But it's the fact that it's a railway that doesn't have a passing loop. And that gives you so much more space in a model railway. But it ran right up until blue diesels, up until the 1980s. And in fact, it would have had a new lease of life if the coal industry had continued. They were looking at doing merry-go-round trains, which would have been very interesting to see how they did that. But it's a really well-written book as well, unlike so many railway books that are very dry. In my view, far too many of them are concerned about the locomotives. Oh, well, the Fowler 040 with square wheels. You know, pages and pages and pages about arcane details on the locomotives. What I want to know is, why did they build the railway? What happened to the railway? What was the history of the railway? Why did it end? What kind of services did they get on it? And that book's wonderful because it talks about the people and the purpose of the railway. Another little book's given me an idea. The Fortress Railways of the Baltic Shores. Now, this is really something. This is narrow gauge diesels, right the way from the turn of the 1910s, right the way up until the 1960s with diesels. The idea of a line running around various gun emplacements and military things. Really interesting one as a break from the kind of never-ending narrow gauge trench ones we seem to have. Me and Doug, on the way back from the last exhibition we did together, even came up with the idea of a big N-gauge layout with lots of little islands, with a loopy line going round it, with a flying boat base and a submarine base. I still would love to do that one day. I really must sort of keep kicking that idea around. It just needs a lot of space. Again, I may have shown you this one before. So this is starting with a train set, Cyril Freezer. It was a shilling, so it was pre-early 1970s. And this is an important book. I rather like the H.O. Juef, however you want to pronounce it, on the front. You know, wonderful. But was this layout, which is an oval, a siding down the front, and a couple of sidings in the middle. Got the station and everything in there. Mill, goods shed. And that is really what got me into the whole ovals and sidings layouts. And it works really well. And I just saw this recently. This is the Making a Start in N-Gauge pamphlet by Pico. But I was quite taken with this one. So this is the other way round to usual, if you like, portraits of the landscape, so that the 2 points go vertically, which gives you a big passing loop at the back, which means you can hold 2 trains there, run your train through the scenic area and still have the siding. I might well have a go at that. I'm quite tempted with that. And then I suddenly remembered a layout I'd forgotten about. And that's this one. I think we may have gone upside down here. I'm not sure. If we have, I'm sorry. I can try and get that back the other way in a minute. But this one I designed and started making as an American shunting layout. And I completely forgot I'd made it. And as I'm quite into my American, I can see that beginning to be finished, possibly. It's quite nice. It's got 2 lots of power there, wiring tube. It will have a fiddle yard off here, but it means you can do a kickback siding, which is quite American, as well as the big siding over the back there. Oh, we're back the right way up. I suppose it would have been all right for our viewers in Australia. Sorry for the racial stereotyping joke there. I'm sure people can report me to the relevant authorities. And I've still got my Japanese layout underneath here. I will try and do a video on that because that needs selling, really. I've had a couple of people interested. The problem is it was a really expensive layout to build. There's lots of Kato track. The Japanese buildings were very expensive, even second hand. Even the back scene was 30 quid. So it's got to be a £300 layout. If you think you might be interested, have a look back through the videos. There's quite a few on it. And let's see if somebody's interested. Say, Mike's just gone and got my little oval one. and I sold another one when I was at the Something show. Just give me a bit more space and a bit more funds to have a go at this one. It'd be good if it could find a good home. I think all my layouts I've sold have all gone to subscribers, which is wonderful. So there we go. Quite a bit going on still. The build is dragging on. It's still taking a lot of time. Doing a lot of decorating. Yeah, it's not my favourite job, but we're working through it. It's going to be lovely when it's finished. But it is taking me away from the really important things in life, like model railways. I do find the real world, even when you're retired, gets in the way of the real priorities, like model railways. And then we've got Doug home at the end of the week for a week, which is nice. We haven't seen him for a while. He's off on his placement up in Cheltenham. So it'd be nice to see Doug. I'm hoping he might even wire some points in for me over the back. He did step in the other day very kindly for me. Roger in the Something Club wanted some Z-gauge bodies to fit some Z-gauge shorty chassis. And I was quite keen to help Peter for a number of reasons. And Doug very kindly sat and quickly designed these bodies for me, and we got them printed off. But it's very interesting when Peter was asking me about how much did he owe me. Well, the answer is nothing really, because they cost pence to make. And it did make me think, looking at people trying to get 30, 40, 50 pound for 3D printed, very basic diesel bodies. It's having a laugh really, guys, those of you doing it. Yes, the complex steam locos I kind of get, probably hundreds of hours of design and very complicated prints. But a very simple boxy diesel body, not sure. I feel the same way about mini trains who do a really nice, I guess it's HOE diesel, which a lot of people use. They're £100 and something for a tiny little, very simple locomotive. I find that difficult, if I'm honest. But then you know me and the price of new things. I shall go back and carry on doing. American locos at the moment are proving even cheaper than the Japanese ones second-hand. And I'm having a lot of fun with that. So, American layout coming on. Spoken about a few books. I hope everybody's keeping relatively well. And I'll do another video of some sort in the next week or so. But thank you for listening to me rabbit on as always. And I'll speak to you again soon.